It's basically black magic, satanic worship. It's all that kind of stuff. No, it's literally just a process of understanding how to communicate consciously with your subconscious mind. So most people are just going throughout their lives and they're having this and some people don't have a dialogue in their head, which I don't understand, but you're having this sort of dialogue in our mind, and oftentimes we have conflicting thoughts. And so through or at least our process of hypnosis is really creating a relationship between your conscious mind and your subconscious mind to ultimately help further your goals.
So I am so excited to be here with a friend and somebody that's amazing on social media. You've been blowing up. I've seen your journey. And I'm excited to introduce you, Dom the Hypnosis. Did I get it right?
Hypnotist.
Dom the Hypnotist. Oh my
just
gosh.
Said this
okay. No.
right before.
Cut. Okay.
No, just let it go. Whatever.
Okay,
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Okay, so just share with me your journey. How did you get involved in this world of the mind and hypnotizing and doing these events? Like, how did that get started for you?
Yeah, it was all accidental. My mom actually purchased me a hypnosis course as a Christmas gift back in 2018. And so, it was kind of a random gift to give somebody on Christmas. And so, but, I went to the course with an open mind. And, what's funny is when I used to think of a hypnotist, I kind of put them in the same category as like magicians and mentalists and stuff like that. So becoming a hypnotist was like the furthest thing from my mind. But I went to the course with an open mind, and in those 2.5 days, I just completely transformed as a person. And it was one of those things where it's kind of like divine intervention or whatever you want to call it. It's just, I found my purpose over that weekend. And I think it's Mark Twain who said the 2 greatest days of your life are the day you're born and the day you find your purpose. And I must agree, because I remember when I got out of that course, just like literally throwing up my hands and being like, oh my God, this is it. This is the thing I've been searching for my whole life, like doing something like this. And so, yeah, and I just ran with it, just started taking massive action. And here we are, 5 years later.
Wow, it's been 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
What is one thing that truly, how have you used this tool to help yourself first and foremost, and maybe your relationships or being a parent or your business?
Oh my God, it's endless and infinite, really. I'm always working on myself, even if I'm working on myself for myself, and meaning not necessarily with somebody else. But I have a process that I learned actually through do you remember doing a breakthrough? Do you remember breakthroughs?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Isn't it really a powerful process?
Yes.
I don't know how much you learn or how much you did it, but I basically took that process and made it my thing. Like that's what I do for people all the time and myself. So as I have gone through my journey, there's a saying, new levels, new devils, right? So as I went from, hey, first of all, becoming a hypnotist, there was a lot of insecurities around that, because it's like, oh, now you're kind of like a fucking weirdo, right? It's like, you're a hypnotist. So that's a little odd. And then when it became, okay, now it's just me and my solo journey, and then having a team, and then that was a new level, and then having a bigger team, that's a new level, and then doing events and trainings. So there's all these things that as you start to break through these ceilings, there's another ceiling that's right there. And so I do breakthroughs on myself all the time, or I'll have people help me and do the breakthrough process. So that's been the most valuable resource that I've had to help me break through those mental barriers and get to those higher levels. So
how does hypnosis work though? Like, what is it for somebody that's watching this, or what is it, like woo-woo stuff? Like,
it's basically black magic, satanic worship. It's all that kind of stuff. No, it's literally just a process of understanding how to communicate consciously with your subconscious mind. So most people are just going throughout their lives and they're having this and some people don't have a dialogue in their head, which I don't understand, but you're having this sort of dialogue in our mind, and oftentimes we have conflicting thoughts. And so through or at least our process of hypnosis is really creating a relationship between your conscious mind and your subconscious mind to ultimately help further your goals. So what happens oftentimes, so in let's say Christianity, right? You have the Father, the Son, and then the Holy Spirit. You follow me so far?
Yes.
Okay. So in spirituality, from the lessons that I've learned, is that's a metaphor. That's actually the understanding of your conscious mind, your subconscious mind, and your higher conscious mind, or your higher self. So what happens is your conscious mind is like the parent, it's the father. And imagine if a parent didn't communicate with their child, what would their child do? Well, it would run wild and like do its own thing. And that's where most people have gone throughout their lives, is they haven't had that relationship with their subconscious, their inner child. So like they have all these beliefs and do all these behaviors that they don't understand how to control it. So what we start to do is develop that relationship between your conscious mind and your subconscious mind, AKA parenting yourself, so that ultimately you can become your higher self. So that's really what hypnosis is, kind of on a higher level of thinking.
That was amazing. I just watched the movie If yesterday with my daughter and my husband.
If? What's that?
Imaginary Friend with Ryan Reynolds. It was amazing.
Uh-huh.
You'll understand it because what are we now, right? I'm this woman now with all these memories.
Yeah.
And those memories are no longer here physically, but they are here and here.
Right.
So in the movie, you know, I'm not going to spoil it for anybody. It's one of the #1 movies right now.
Really?
It is amazing because it goes into the inner child. Every dysfunction as a walking adult, whatever dysfunction you might have, we all have them. It's because of that inner child that's unhealed and unheard. You can reach mega success as a man, as a woman. If that little girl is hurt, she's not going to be able to find her soulmate. She might be overweight. She might go and have shopping addictions. Even men, gambling. We live in Las Vegas. You know, sports betting. You know, anything that takes that conscious awareness in that moment, because we're not present with ourselves, because that little inner child's like a child that's like, Mama, Daddy, help me.
Right.
And it's like you're not nurturing that little child. It acts wild. And you can reach success. Yet if that doesn't connect, the source, like you said, the conscious, subconscious, and the higher self, we're never going to be finding ourselves. And no amount of money, no amount of relationships or love or anything on the outside, it's going to fulfill you. So in the movie, watching it with my daughter and my husband, I was crying the whole time, by the way, because it's so good. And I can relate to it because it's like I've done that journey. And a lot of us, it's hard to go into that journey because how much pain do we have? You know, I saw this thing with Mariah Carey. We were at her concert. And she said that there was so much dysfunction in her household that she remembers vividly. Her drive is being a little girl when the police came to her house and the cops saying, if you make it, little girl, you are a miracle. Every time she goes on stage, she has that little girl. And that's her saying is, you are a miracle because you're still here. So if we can go in that healing, you know, I was at Jordan Peterson last night. That was his whole talk.
Yeah, that's amazing. No, it's interesting because like you said, you could be successful without doing all this work, but what you're doing is you're carrying with you a lot of the traumas to having more success. And success typically amplifies whoever we are, whatever we got going on, right? So if you're an asshole and you become really, I'm talking financially successful, it's gonna amplify that, right? If you got a lot of trauma in your relationships, it's gonna amplify that. So, you know, there's a process that we go through that I learned in hypnosis and all my spiritual training and everything is the first thing that we always do is we remove stuff first, right? We empty out the old garbage and the stuff that's holding us back. And then we can add new stuff to it. Because if you just are always adding and you're going forward and you're never letting go of the whatever's behind you, you're carrying with that, all that stuff with you into the future. So it's amazing. I always trip out. I'm like, how do fucking people have so much success and they're fucking alcoholics and they're this and they're that? But really that's not success. That's one aspect. Cool, you have money, but if you're addicted to this or porn or, you know, sex with random people or whatever the case may be, then ultimately that's not really success. There's some type of pain or whatever the case may be that's not being brought to the surface and healed. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, we can talk about this for days.
I know, right?
So what about, you know, I work with women. I have a business. I'm an entrepreneur. I love business. And I got into the hypnosis study because, you know, I always wanted to learn more and more for my business. But what about relationship? Like I work with women and they want to be these, strong and successful women, and then they neglect that feminine part of them. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's funny. I just had let me think of how I want to say this. I was just hanging out with somebody that was a woman who we were doing some business, and she's very, I just don't want to say too much so that people don't think who this might be, but basically she's very in her masculine energy. And what happens a lot of times is, in this person's case, they left their home and they had to kind of fend for themselves. So now they go into that like masculine energy, it's like hard charging, hunting, going out and killing, right? And a lot of women actually get thrown into that through divorce or having a child and the parent isn't there. So it's like they have to be that mama bear, like I got to go out and feed my family. And then they get stuck into that masculine energy. And then when it comes to opening themselves up for love, they have a hard time with it because they're so masculine. And what's interesting is from my experience, I've worked with a lot of women that are in that kind of space. A lot of them have a tough time finding a man that they would actually want to be with. And what ends up happening is oftentimes they end up settling for a man who's more like feminine or beta in a sense, because it's like that opposite energy. Because ultimately, in my opinion, I'm a masculine man. I don't want some masculine woman. You know what I mean? Like I want a woman who's more feminine, and that's how my girl is. But yeah, it's interesting. Now, here's the cool thing though, is that you can literally just turn that energy on of tapping into your feminine energy just by thinking of it. And it's funny, the woman I was just talking about, like, dude, you're so like, just be a little feminine, just chill. And I'm like, just turn it on. And she kind of like would do it and she'd turn it on and then it would come out and I could just instantly see it in her. Now, one other thing that I've seen is that so many women have been hurt in relationships, and it usually starts from their childhood, right? Their parents get divorced, or their dad was never there, or their mom was never there, or whatever. And they carry that hurt with them throughout their entire lives. And then they go into relationships and they lose friends and they get cheated on or whatever. And then they become very hardened by that. And then they don't want to let go of their hurt subconsciously. So then they hold on to the hurt and they kind of like put up these barriers. And then that holds them back from opening up to that new relationship. And look, if you're not opening yourself up for a new relationship, what are you often going to do? Well, I'm just going to dive into business and, work 60, 70, 80 hours a week and just completely ignore this part of my life because this is where that attention and energy is going. Is that making sense?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, one thing that will happen is, so let's take hurt, for example, emotional hurt. And this is mostly women that I've seen this in. If I said, hey, do you want to let go of your hurt? Do you want to let go of your past? What are most people going to say? Well, of course I do, right? Yes. I don't want to hold on to this. But then when you put them in hypnosis and you talk to their subconscious mind, often their subconscious mind doesn't want to let go of their hurt. So their logical mind is saying, yes, I want to do this. But then subconsciously they're saying, no, I don't. And so what ends up happening is, because the subconscious is so much more powerful, the subconscious will override the conscious thoughts. So this is why people go to therapy for years and nothing ever changes. It's because deep down inside, their subconscious doesn't want to let go of whatever the past is. So now I have let me share with you something really interesting. So whoever's listening to this, if you just pay attention to what I'm saying and you're going through this will just shift everything for you. You ready?
Yes,
okay,
I'm ready.
Drum roll, please. That's just kidding. So, okay. So let's say I'm working with somebody and I'm like, okay, ask your subconscious mind, is it okay to let go of my hurt? And they'll say, yeah. I'm like, no, that wasn't 100%. There's a little bit of hesitation, right? So then we go, okay, why do you want to hold on to your hurt? We're asking the subconscious, right? So subconscious says, well, because if I let go of my hurt, then I'm going to open myself up for being hurt again. Wow. This is making sense so far?
Yes.
Okay. So now here's the interesting thing. If you burn your hand on a stove, do you have to go back and burn your hand on the stove again to remind yourself how hot the stove is? No. You burn your hand once and you go, fuck, don't do that again, right?
Yeah, correct.
Well, guess what's happening whenever you're holding on to your hurt from your past, the breakups, the cheating, everything else? what are you actually doing every time you memorize, you go through those memories again? Well, you're hurting yourself.
Yes.
You're burning your hand on that stove
Wow.
again and again and again. So once you realize, hey, just like I burn my hand on the stove, I take the lessons, I don't do it again. You could do the same thing with hurt. So where you go, hey, don't do this instead. And then let me let go of the hurt in my past so that I no longer have to keep touching that hot stove. And once people understand that, then that's when their mind goes, oh, okay, cool. And it'll let it go. And it goes away very easily, very quickly.
All right, you guys, sign up for his course. 'Cause that was like mind blowing. And if you actually take action to what you're saying, it's a tool.
Mm-hmm.
So if we do it, it's going to give you results.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
if you listen and don't apply, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So people like want to get, I love self-help. But if you don't apply self-help, it's not going to work.
Then it becomes shelf help. And then the books just end up on your shelf and you don't actually do anything with it.
Yes, it's so powerful. It's so amazing, the mind. So I know a lot of my, my clients, they like the lifestyle, the social media lifestyle. They see it and it's fun. Mm-hmm. What's something that you've seen that blocks people, especially entrepreneurs or business people, to get to that next level, even posting on social media? What is it?
Yeah, it's just, I talked to Kate about this the other day. There's a few things. So one is, it's a deep-seated fear of being ostracized from your tribe, right? Wow. Because if you back, hundreds and thousands of years ago, if you do something that gets you ostracized, now you're on your own. And it's very hard to survive on your own, at least back then. Mm-hmm. So that meant if you get kicked out of your tribe, that meant death. So now fast forward up until now, well, if you start a business or you, like when I became a hypnotist, I'm like, oh shit, I'm about to tell everybody I'm a hypnotist. People are going to look at me weird. My friends are going to think I'm weird. My family's going to think I'm weird. So I start going through this whole scenario of I'm going to get kicked out of the tribe, right? So it's that. Then the other thing is, it's a bunch of little memories throughout your lifetime in your subconscious mind that when you go to post, you don't realize what's happening, but in a millisecond, your mind is going back and running through sort of like a memory bank or like a Rolodex of all these times where maybe you put yourself out there and you got rejected, or you did something and somebody made fun of you. So in that moment, your mind goes, I don't want to experience that rejection. I don't want to experience that pain again. So therefore, it's easier just to pull back. Now, logically, everybody knows if you post, if you do this, if you do that, you can grow your business, you can make millions of dollars. But again, if subconsciously that little inner child's like, no, I don't want to get rejected. I don't want to get kicked out. I don't want to get made fun of. It'll hold them back. So it's very easy. Once you could identify what these memories are, these string of memories, and you just wipe them clean and you make peace with them, then you can post no problem at all. I'll actually share with you a funny story. I shared this with Kate the other day. So this was maybe 3-4 years ago. I started my YouTube channel and I was making videos or whatever, and I'd post them, no problem. Cool, I post them out there. I don't really care what people think. Well, then I would post it to my Instagram, and I'd post it like on a story or whatever. And then I went to go post it to my Facebook. And for whatever reason, I just wouldn't post it to my Facebook. So I'm like, what the fuck? Why am I so afraid to post it here, but I'll post it over all these things? Well, as I went through the process of speaking with myself, my subconscious is like, oh, because your dad's on Facebook. And if I post it like these other channels, he's not really on. So it's kind of like my little secret, right? So I'm like, okay. So I went through my breakthrough process and I asked myself these questions. It's a specific set of questions in a specific order. And it always gets to the root of like, what the hell's going on? So this is what I discovered. When I was 2 years old, my dad had a bunch of his friends over they were watching sports or whatever. And I was in the bathtub by myself, 2 years old, hanging out in the bathtub, whatever. Well, at some point I was done and I got out butt naked and I ran into the living room like, dad, or whatever, right? And my dad just goes, hey, what the fuck? Get back in the bathroom. I'm naked, in front of all his friends. So that started that. So then, there was all these other memories of like when I was maybe 10, I like dyed my hair blonde or something when I was in middle school. And then I got earrings when I was in high school, all these different things. And my dad always kind of looked at me weird, right? So now whenever I went to go post my YouTube video, I'm like, oh shit, what's my dad going to think? And this and that. And then once I cleared it out, 30 seconds later, I post a video and now I don't care. My dad loves my stuff, so it doesn't matter. But it's funny how that little 2-year-old memory, and here's the thing, as an adult, we can look back on it and laugh and it's funny, right? But guess what? As a 2-year-old kid, that's kind of traumatic. You're like, Dad. And Dad's like, hey, fucking go back. And you're like, oh, and you get that rejection. So it's all these little moments like that that really hold people back from posting on social media or putting themselves out there or whatever. So.
Wow, that was so powerful. It took 30 seconds, you said?
Well, it took about maybe 30 minutes to go through the whole process of like the questioning of why is this happening? Why am I so afraid to do this? But once I found it and I got to the root of it, once I was done, 30 seconds later, I just post a video and I don't care.
That was it.
Yeah. It's like easy. That, like 30 right? minutes. Think about that too. 30 minutes, call it an hour if you want to round up. An hour of my life of clearing my shit just completely shifted my life path, right? Because had I never done that, I wouldn't be posting, I would be afraid, and I'd still be, wherever I was back then. And so, and that's really what it is when you're going through personal development. It's a lot of like those moments, like those little shifts, like that start to change the path that you're on. So, yeah, it's very, very fascinating stuff.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. I'm so happy that you were able to become self-aware. I was with Tim Grover, and he said something so powerful because I love Kobe. I'm from LA.
Uh-huh.
He said the most successful people are the ones that become self-aware.
Where
they figure it out. Like it's like a aha.
Yeah.
And you are realizing that there is that part of you inside that you can connect with.
Yeah.
I think that's like a hidden treasure.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a lot of it is just bringing what's deeply unconscious into your conscious awareness and realizing it. And half the battle is just being aware. Like when I mentioned a moment ago about the women being hurt and stuff like that, most of the people who are dealing with that didn't even know that was happening.
Wow.
They didn't know that, oh yeah, you're right. I do want to let it go, but then there's a part of me that doesn't, right?
Wow.
So just being aware, like, oh shit, I didn't realize that. That's half the battle. And then having that metaphor and that reframe, that's the other half of the battle. So that's another part to it. And then the other half is going through and just fully making peace with those events. And so, yeah, I mean, self-awareness is so important. I know that Kobe, so many people may not know this, but according to an article I read, Phil Jackson, back when he was younger, he had a shoulder injury, I believe, because he played basketball. And his brother convinced him to do hypnosis to help him heal faster.
Wow.
So he did some type of self-hypnosis process, help him heal faster and heal his pain. And then all throughout Phil Jackson's career, if anybody knows Phil Jackson, he's very like into spirituality, self-awareness, meditation, obviously, which is the same thing as hypnosis. And so he taught Kobe, Michael Jordan, all those guys how to actually meditate and how to be self-aware. So yeah, Phil Jackson's like super woo-woo. He fucking sages the locker rooms and everything.
So there's power in the law.
Mm-hmm.
So I know back in the day, this is how my spirituality got started with the law of attraction. And I was like, wait, I know this, but I didn't know how to put it together. I've been great at this, but then that came out. And that's how I actually met my husband.
Oh, wow. Because
of The Secret. And I've done my whole business based on The Secret. So, but I just didn't understand it then how to put it together. It was one of those moments in my life, like you said, it was a turning point. That turning point in my life, because then I got Think and Go Rich on top of my car. Somebody left that book.
Oh, wow.
On top of my car in Spanish. And I love books. So I grabbed it. I was like, what is this Think and Grow Rich? Like, I don't even know what it's saying. I went to Barnes and Noble and it was just like this, oh, hallelujah, like moment, like Napoleon Hill. And most of the people that get started in this awareness journey, they always reframe back to that book.
Yeah. No, there's actually a chapter in there about self-hypnosis and affirmations and auto-suggestion.
Yes.
So yeah, and according to the book, he interviews the most successful people in the world and kind of figures out what they do. And I've actually never read that book, but I've listened to when I was probably 19, 20, I probably listened to that book on audiobook maybe 6-7 times. I got to go back and do it again because that's a classic. That one and The Secret. But wow, that's amazing that somebody left the book on the top of your car. That's pretty wild.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
It's pretty wild because I feel like I was listening today to something and the metaphor was, so if a tree grows huge, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's growing and it's such strong, aren't we like the tree?
Mm-hmm.
There's power.
Right.
But how do we utilize that power? So it's like that when you tap into that subconscious mind and go in there, it's like you can connect to everything.
Right, right.
Because that is the law.
That is that. Well, then everything's created from our belief system. And if that's where your beliefs reside, then that's where you want to tap into. Speaking of trees, I heard this guy on a reel the other day. He gave such a great metaphor. I forget I'm going to butcher it probably, but he said something that's interesting about business and about even growing your social media or whatever.
Yes.
He said that, when a seed is planted for the first however long, there's no stump, there's no fruit, there's no nothing. It's just the roots growing into the ground, and you don't see it. It's very dark. It's wet. It's the hardest part, right? Is the roots going into the ground, and then eventually the tree sprouts, and then the fruit, are blossom, and then you can eat the fruits from the tree. But it's whatever that gestation period from when the seed is planted and it growing those roots, that's what's going to determine the health of the tree, how big and how amazing it can be. And oftentimes what happens is with people is like they plant a seed and it starts to grow little sprouts and little roots, and then they go, oh, this isn't happening fast enough. And then they go, okay, fuck this. I'm going to go over here and plant a different seed and then and they're constantly planting all these seeds, but nothing is actually truly getting roots and growing fully into the ground to where it can actually grow into something. And even if, let's take a tree, let's say you planted a seed and you gave it steroids, right? So that the tree would grow fast and the fruits would bear quickly. Well, if the roots aren't strong enough, although that tree may shoot up really fast and you have fruit, well, it's going to be so top heavy that it's going to fall over. So for anybody who's out there and you're starting again your social media, your business or whatever, just know there's going to be a lot of time in the darkness. And it's going to be wet. It's going to be cold. It's going to be hard in the beginning of getting your roots in. But once you get your roots in, your tree will grow and it'll happen naturally.
That's wonderful. It's somebody said it takes 1,000 posts to get noticed, maybe.
Wow.
And maybe we quit.
Yeah.
And then we're like, oh man, we didn't make it.
Yeah.
Right. And then somebody else that's not as good as you, it's annoying, but it's there.
Right.
And they're doing it. And you're like, why is he doing it? Why is she doing it? But they're doing it.
Yeah.
Right? So it's that little thing that, it's like that law that the limiting beliefs, like you said, it's there. But you got to pluck it out. And what are you going to fill it with? You can't just take it out.
Yeah.
You got to refill it.
Right.
Well, you know what? It's going to take some time, but you need fertilizer.
Right.
You need sun. You need rain.
Right.
It takes seasons.
Yeah, no, it takes time. I mean, some people hit it quick and like boom, but it just 1,000 posts. I don't even think I'm at 1,000 posts.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just some crazy number like that. But
it makes sense though.
Yeah, for sure. Repetition, right?
Yeah. It's a lot of practice. You got to get your groove and everything. So yeah, absolutely.
For sure. Okay, so now let's talk about one of your most successful videos on social media, or one of the mantras that I saw about wealth.
Yeah.
And you can hypnotize people to become rich.
Yeah. So I know which one you're talking about. So this is a really fascinating story. So you're talking about the affirmation on my Instagram. Large sums of money come to me easily, quickly from multiple sources on a consistent basis and the best good of all.
Okay, wait. Can you like hypnotize me right now so we can get that in the
large sums of money come to me easily and quickly from multiple sources on a consistent basis, and it's in the best good of all. You can keep, save, invest the money, give it away to charity, whoever you want, whatever you decide to do. You could do it happily. There it is.
Wow. All right, guys. So I think this is it.
There it is. You don't ever have to work again. Law of attraction.
Law of attraction.
Is done.
So what's the story behind that mantra?
So in the NFL season of 2021, I was working with a client during preseason. Now, he wasn't like a starter or anything. He was like third or fourth string. But then halfway through the season, he finally got his first opportunity to start. So we would get together every week and we do different sessions. And so this time what we did is, we got together and he's like, dude, I'm nervous in my first start. Like, if there's any other tricks you have up your sleeve, like now's the time to do it. Right. So I said, okay, here's what we're going to do. In the NFL, every week when you play a new team, you want to do your best to memorize the playbook, right? So you can predict what they're going to do. So what we did is we took the plays of the other team. I put in a hypnosis recording and I just told them just loop it throughout the night, right? Now, what's interesting is at this moment, I think I'd been doing hypnosis for 2 years and I never even subscribed or even believed in the whole idea of sleep hypnosis or affirmations while you're sleeping, because I just, was like, all right, well, you're sleeping, right? How does this actually do anything for you? But I figured, it's not going to hurt. So let's just do it. So he listened to the sleep hypnosis 4 nights in a row leading up to the game. And he went out and he played. And then he messaged me afterwards and he's like, yo, I have never been more in tune with what the other team was going to do. And he said, it was almost like I knew what they were going to do before they even did it. Right. So I'm thinking like, oh, fuck, thank God it worked. Right. Like, shit. But then it got my wheels turning. I'm like, all right, maybe there is something to this whole sleep hypnosis thing. Right. So then maybe like a month or so went by and I don't know, I'm messing around on YouTube or whatever. And I come across this video that's like attract money while you sleep, right? It has like millions of views and thousands of comments. So I start going through and I'm like looking at the comments, right? And all these people are like, oh my God, I started listening to this and I made 10 grand the next day or, 20 grand this week. And some are smaller, like $500 and I got a raise and all this stuff. And at first I'm like, man, I'm like, this dude probably like paid people, like bots or something, right? To like comment on his posts. I'm like, I don't believe this many people got results. That's my skeptical mind. I'm naturally skeptical. So I get it. But then as I was looking at all these people commenting, oh my God, I made this much and this and this and this, I would go to their pages and like, they were real people. Like they had videos, there weren't bots. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to be sleeping anyway, so it's not going to like take any time out of my life. So let me just give it a go, right? So I start listening to the sleep hypnosis on, I think it was a Tuesday. And then by Sunday, I had my biggest week ever by over 50%.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, I think we had like the most clients I had ever signed up in a week at the time was like 5 or 6. And in that week, I had 9 people sign up, right? Now, that's all cool, but I can't sustain that. Like 9 people week after week after week. It's impossible. So the sleep hypnosis, and I didn't have a team like I do now. So the sleep hypnosis was so powerful, I actually had to stop listening to it. So I'm like, dude, I have too many clients right now. I need to like catch up on this, right? So I just kind of left it alone. Well, then maybe a month or so after that, I kind of had an epiphany. And I'm like, you know what? I'm a hypnotist. I know how to hypnotize people. I'm just going to create my own sleep hypnosis, right? But this time I'll be a little bit more specific on the affirmation. And what I'll do is I'll make it to where the affirmation isn't just, hey, I want a bunch more money, but also like, okay, I want to make more money, but I don't want to work more. Like, it's the same or less, the same or less. Because what good is that if I get 50% more money, I got 50% more work? That's just ridiculous. So I took basically the same affirmation and I tweaked it a little bit, added some parts, took away some parts, and I put it up on my YouTube channel, started putting it on my Instagram. And within a few days, I was getting a ton of great feedback, right? People are like, dude, my client, my appointment calendar is booking up, deals are closing out of nowhere, all this cool stuff. But then I had other people saying that that something was wrong with the recording and it sounded like it was distorted or the file was corrupted. So I initially thought, I was like, okay, either I messed something up when I was recording it or something's wrong with their phone. Maybe they need to update it or, I made it on a MacBook. Maybe it doesn't work on Androids. I don't know. So I just kind of left it alone, whatever. Well, then maybe a month or so after that, I started to give this to all of our clients when they signed up to go through our program. So we work with business owners and salespeople. And so obviously business owners and salespeople want to make more money. So I'd say, hey, okay, we're going to do these sessions or whatever. Start listening to this every night, right? So same thing. Within a couple of days, people are like, dude, I got a raise or I got more money, clients, all this stuff. But then other people said they couldn't hear it. Well, then one day, one of my clients messaged me, and this is like, I remember it was October 13th. I think it was 2021 or 2022? I think 2021. And a client messaged me and she goes, Dom, I think something's wrong with the recording. I said, what's going on? She goes, I could hear it perfectly fine for the first 3 days, but now I can't understand it. It's like distorted. I think it's broken or something. So I said, I've heard this before. Screen record it and send it to me and I'll take a look. So she screen records it. She sends it to me. I play it on my phone and I'm like, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. I can hear it perfectly fine, right? Well, then an hour goes by and she messaged me back. She goes, Dom, I think I'm going crazy. I said, what's up? And she goes, I just shared my recording with my partner, or your recording with my partner. We're in the same exact room. We're listening to the same exact thing. and she can hear it perfectly fine, but I can't understand a word. She said, yeah, she said, it sounds like it's in a different language. So I had that same reaction. I'm like, what? Like, what's going on here? So I didn't know what was going on. So I said, okay, let's talk about it next week in our session. So a week goes by, we jump on the Zoom, and I share my screen. I'm like, I got to see this for myself, right? I'm not just going to take your word for it. But so I share my Zoom and I play the recording, and sure enough, I can hear it as clear as day, and she can't understand a word. She could read the captions on the screen, but it's not processing auditorily. So I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what's happening here, right? So I went with my instincts and I said, okay, if she's not able to hear the recording, it must be because she has some type of fears or limiting beliefs around creating financial success and abundance. So, I put her in hypnosis and we start going through these questions, and I start asking her subconscious mind. So one part of the affirmation is large sums of passive money come to me easily and quickly, right? So we start asking her subconscious mind, why are you not letting me hear large sums of passive money come to me easily and quickly? And her mind's like, well, because I won't know what to do with all this success, right? I won't know how to manage it. Or when I'm successful, my friends and family will be jealous of me. Or when I'm successful, I'll become arrogant and I'll treat people bad. Also, it can't come easily and quickly because it has to take a long time. I have to work hard in order to deserve success. And there was all these different things, right? So we go through the list of them. We start clearing out all these beliefs. Bam, 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 bam. There's like 12 of them or something. So we go through. 45 minutes later, I play the recording, and she can hear it perfectly fine again.
Wow, that's powerful.
Yeah. Now, what's interesting is since then, this phenomena has happened to literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. And what's also interesting is a couple weeks after that, I had clients create their own affirmations on this app, where essentially I didn't tell them what to say, but I taught them, this is how you create a powerful affirmation. You say this and you structure it this way. So I had people create their own affirmations, their own words, their own voice in their app, and they started listening to it. And within a few days, some of them couldn't hear their own words in their own language, in their own voice. Wow. Yeah. So how did we get on this subject? You asked me about, hypnotizing people to make more money. Yes. Yeah. So as I mentioned, now another funny thing is that you would think that only happens to people who like are broke or struggle with money, and it's not necessarily true. I have clients that are worth tens of millions of dollars. They'll start listening to it, and then a portion of it, or sometimes even all of it, will start distorting. So sometimes people can hear like 80% of it, but there's like these little part where it's like, I don't know, man, I can't hear this part, right? And then we clear it. And then, if you have these limiting beliefs and these fears, I don't care how hard you work. I don't care what opportunity comes your way. If you even got money given to you, very quickly you would find a way to destroy it and blow it and give it away because you don't have the belief system to hold on to it. So that's always the first thing we do is like, okay, what do we need to clear so that we can open up those pathways for people to receive abundance? So yeah, it's pretty fascinating stuff. We need to do a science research on that. Can you imagine that?
No, you.
The recording. Yeah, it's interesting because I've had other people tell me, I've listened to other manifestation or affirmations, but it doesn't distort. Like, why is yours distorting? And I honestly have no idea. My former COO, she told me, she said, Dom, it's because you're in your dharma. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? What's your dharma? She said, it's like, because you're in your purpose. So whatever you did in that moment, when you created that, whatever came through came out into the recording, and it's specifically to your thing. So yeah, I ended up creating like a whole program where people can go through, they listen to the affirmation, and then actually they can hypnotize themselves step by step on how to, number one, identify what the limiting beliefs are, and then go through and clear it. It's just such a fascinating thing because people, so like I do a webinar, right? Every week, and I sign people up for this program. It's called the Money Magnetism Program, right? And I always say the same thing, and it's like, okay, whatever. And it's so funny because every time people join, they go, "Oh, that won't happen to me," right? Oh, that or they think I'm lying, or think I'm making it up, or they think I'm fucking with them. I had a client recently. he came to me and, the guy's already successful, but he like launched this other company. He's like, dude, I want to exit for 100 million in like, I think 3 or 5 years. I don't remember. So I'm like, all right, start listening to the hypnosis. And then a couple of days later, it starts distorting on him. And we jump on. He's like, bro, are you fucking with me? Are you fucking with me, dude? I'm like, no, dude, I swear to God, like this is what it is. So we go through and we clear it out, and then he starts listening to it and he can hear it again. And a couple of days later, it started distorting again. Sometimes that does happen. And then we cleared it. And now the guy's company's fucking doing really, really successful in a very short amount of time. And looks like he's on track to do that. So yeah, it's so cool. It's so fascinating. But yeah, people can learn, people can go through the process of identifying what their beliefs are and clearing it on their own. So
from what I'm listening to you, you're saying that I can talk to my subconscious mind?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Now?
Right now. You said you were sick earlier, right?
No, I just got a little stuffy. I was just at an event. You know, the AC.
No, it's not that.
No. Okay. So how can we here, everybody watching this, talk to our subconscious mind?
Yeah, you can literally just start off by asking yourself a yes or no question, right? So let's say as an example, the hurt thing that we talked about earlier. So somebody can say, hey, subconscious mind, is it okay to let go of my hurt?
So I ask myself,
yeah. So
hey, subconscious mind,
yep.
Is it okay to let go of my hurt?
What's the answer you get?
Absolutely.
Okay, now let's say anger.
Anger.
So maybe somebody isn't dealing with hurt, but they're like how I used to be, very angry.
Hey, subconscious mind, can I let go of anger? Yes.
A little hesitation
I know,
there.
I felt that in my
I already
throat.
knew that. I already knew that was coming.
Hold on, let me get that punch out.
I already knew that was coming before you even said it. I could see it on your face.
Okay.
So do you see how that works?
Yes, that was powerful. Okay. Thank you, Dom. That was amazing.
Yeah. So that's,
Wow.
Now here's the thing. So close your eyes again.
Okay.
And say, subconscious mind, why do you want to hold on to my anger?
Subconscious mind, why do you want to hold on to my anger? Protection.
Protecting you from what?
Being hurt.
Gotcha. Now here's the thing. Whenever we get angry, how's our decision making? Fiery. And oftentimes we make decisions, we don't think them through. And then afterwards we're going, damn it, I shouldn't have done that. And then we're filled with regret and even hurt often. Not only do we hurt ourselves, we hurt other people in the process, don't we? So your anger is actually not helping you avoid getting hurt. It's actually what causes a lot of it, isn't it? Now, when you let go of your anger, what will happen instead?
I feel joy.
You feel joy.
Yes.
Your decision making's better.
Clarity.
You're a better mom. You're a better wife. You're a better business owner. You're a better employer, right?
Yes.
And then you actually end up creating more deeper, meaningful relationships and connections, and then you don't get hurt. Am I right? So with that being said, now your subconscious mind is realizing that anger isn't helping you to avoid hurt. It's actually causing a lot of it. So with that being said, is it okay to release your anger and for you to be aware of it consciously?
Yes. I want to release this.
Is that 100% now?
Yes.
Yeah. So you see the difference and you feel the difference?
Yes.
So that's how you could start that process of identifying, just having that conversation. Do you want to really release it right now?
Sure.
Okay. So close your eyes.
Okay.
So subconscious, say this in your head, subconscious mind, what's the root cause of my anger? Was it before, during, or after my birth? What's the answer?
Before.
Okay. Was it a past life or was it passed down genetically?
Genetically.
If you were to know, how many generations ago?
A lot.
How many?
10.
Okay. So now what's happening is you're going to have a genetic memory come to the surface. And so just allow it to bubble up from your subconscious mind into your conscious mind. And then whatever you have, whatever you're seeing, describe what you're seeing.
Just chaos.
Okay, good. What else?
Probably violence.
Okay, is it on your mom's side or your dad's side of the family?
More my mom.
Okay, is it your great grandpa or grandma?
Grandfather.
Okay, and what is causing him anger in that moment? What's going on?
Just power. I think it's like a power struggle, something like a power struggle.
Okay, what else?
know. It's just like something like letting go.
Okay. So say subconscious mind, what was causing my grandfather anger in this? Sometimes it's a specific event or sometimes a general thing of what was going on in his life. What was it for him?
I think it was just like trying to like move forward or something. Like he was like in a horse. I can see this and like he's trying to go.
Uh-huh.
But it was like something holding him like around him. I don't know. It's weird.
What was holding around him?
I don't know. People.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to jump in a horse.
And what was causing him anger? What about that was causing him anger?
He was frustrated because he was trying to jump and I think he was jumping.
Gotcha. Now, where do you notice how your body, like you're starting to get a little antsy, you're starting to move. Where do you feel it in your body right now?
My leg, my right leg.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably the side that he stepped on the horse with. I don't know. But look at it from a third person perspective, like you're watching it happen. And what are the lessons that you could take so that you could let go of your anger?
Just I like think like let go of fear.
Mm-hmm.
This is like a fear and anger. It's like interesting. It's like fear of letting go, but fear of falling, I think. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
It's like jumping, like a big leap.
Ah.
And something happened. And there's like people around, like a crowd or something. I don't know. Interesting.
What else can you learn? Well, when you fall, just get back on the horse, right?
I think a lot of my stuff has been fear.
Uh-huh.
So fear of falling, and that causes anger in me.
There we go. So what else can you learn so you can let go of your anger?
Let go. It's that if I fall, I will get up.
You know, yesterday I was keep your eyes closed. We took our daughter to go get horse riding lessons. And the gentleman that teaches her how to ride horses, he said, you know, pretty soon here, we're going to teach you how to fall off the horse because it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. If you ride the horse long enough, you will fall off the horse. And it's the same thing in life. If you're taking risk, you are going to fall off the horse. But do you want to stay down and let all the embarrassment and the frustration sink in, or are you just going to dust yourself off, get back on the horse, and keep going?
Get back up.
Yeah. Got anything else?
I know.
All right. Thank your subconscious mind for learning. Store the learnings. Check on the feelings. Are they there or are they gone?
It's gone.
Go down in it. See it through your own eyes. Check on the feelings again. Are they there or are they gone?
Gone.
Float back out. And I'd like your subconscious mind to begin to make your way back throughout your lifetime, all the way back to now, only as quickly as you can let go of all the anger on all the events leading back up to now. As you come across each event, see yourself in the events, preserve the positive lessons, let go of all the events, all the way back to now. You're just going to have a highlight reel as you go through. All right. How do you feel now?
Amazing.
Isn't that cool? Yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah. So that's genetic trauma that's passed down 10 generations or however many it was. And yeah, that's how fast and easy. What was that take? 3 minutes or something?
That's really powerful.
Yeah. Now close your eyes real quick. Think
Okay.
about something in the past where you used to feel angry. Go back, try to find the feelings, and you may find that you cannot.
Yeah, no.
Try your hardest and you won't be able to. And you can try and try
No.
and try.
No.
You can't, right? Now imagine you're in the future in an event
Okay.
where if it happened in the past, you would have felt angry. Go out, try to find the feelings, and you may find that you cannot. You feel it or no?
Yeah, I feel it.
You feel the anger?
No,
No, you don't feel it.
I don't feel the anger. I just feel the flow.
Okay, good. All right, open your eyes. What'd you have for breakfast this morning?
Protein shake.
Cool.
Protein.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So yeah, that's how people can learn to, you just start asking yourself questions. And obviously the shortcut is you have somebody teach you or work with somebody to really understand, or you take a course or whatever the case may be. But yeah, it's so amazing when you can have that understanding. And really when you really start to understand yourself, you realize all your sickness, all your relationship problems, your financial stuff, your health, everything is all here. And once you can start to clear those beliefs and things like that, you can heal yourself. You find amazing relationships. Your business starts flowing. It's truly amazing.
So the key is ask yourself, ask the subconscious,
Yeah.
what's blocking me?
Yeah, you can do that. The process I was talking to you about earlier, essentially what we do is it's kind of like a funnel where you start off and the challenge is very broad at the top. Oh, I'm sick today, right? And and we start asking questions that starts getting your mind kind of the wheels turning, and eventually it funnels down to this one point, and it's usually one or two different beliefs that are causing that to happen, right? So yeah, it's so cool. I did my live event maybe a month ago, and I always like to shift people's paradigms. And one of the fastest ways you can shift somebody's paradigm is to show them and prove to them right in front of their face the power of healing or whatever the case may be. So what I like to do is I like to find somebody who's in physical pain and they've tried everything to fix it, right? They've been to the chiropractor, they've been to physical therapy, maybe they've had multiple surgeries and nothing works, right? Mm-hmm. So I want to take like the hardest, biggest challenge in the room and I want to do a demonstration. So I said, how many of you guys want to see a miracle? And everybody raised their hand. I was like, all right, cool. Who in here is in physical pain that's not from a recent injury? And all these people raised their hand. So over to my left, there's this little old lady. Her name is Mila. And she raises her hand. And I said, okay, what's going on with you? And she has a very thick, like German accent, right? So she's like, oh, my sciatica is hurting. And I'm like, what have you done? And she's like, I've been to the chiropractor. I've been to the this and that and this and that. I said, okay, cool. So I'm like, okay, come up on stage. Give her a round of applause. So she starts walking. And this lady's like, she's like 83. So she's already but she's like limping up to the stage, right? She's limping up. And then she sits down and I go through our process. And what we ultimately discovered, which was fascinating, is the reason she was feeling sciatica is because she wanted love and attention from her family. And she felt like she never got that. So this was her way of like, oh, I'm hurt. Help me. Please take care of me. Give me attention. Notice me. Love me. Right? So this whole thing. Well, we ended up going into what we just did with you. And we found that it was a genetic memory from her mother. So it turns out her dad was a Nazi and during World War II. And her mother was pregnant with her while her dad was fighting in war and all this stuff. Well, there was a point where wherever they were was like getting bombed on and all this stuff. And her mom was in a basement, literally giving birth to her while all these bombs are going off and stuff. So it was this whole thing about pain and getting attention and all these things. So anyways, we go through and we clear it. And everybody, like, there's people are crying in the crowd. They're just looking like, oh my God, this is fucking crazy. And the lady literally like just gets off the stage and just starts walking like very briskly back to her seat. And after that whole demonstration, she came to the back room and she says, you know, Dom, it's a shame. She goes, it's a shame that, and there was like her sister was there with her and there was some trauma between her and her sister. She goes, it's a shame that I'm 83 years old and my life is barely beginning.
Wow.
And I was like, holy shit, dude. Can you imagine that? So yeah, it's really cool stuff. So I always like to do those type of demonstrations so people can realize, because we've been taught, oh no, it's this, it's that. You got to take these pills. You got to get this surgery. You got to do this. And not to say none of that works, but most of the time it's in our head.
So it's mine?
It's in our mind most of the time.
Like this?
Yeah, most of the time. That's why, like when you said, "Oh, I'm feeling sick" or whatever, I'm like, eh. We had a lady who joined our hypnosis certification program a couple of weeks ago, and she signed up to do it at our live event, and that same night she started getting sick, and so I ended up doing a training. You know, I do a demonstration. So I had her come on and she's like, I've been sick all week. I haven't been able to do anything. And I think I got a cold from being at the event and the casino. Everybody always thinks that, right? It's something I got from the event. Long story short, what we discovered is that anytime she had stuff she had to confront, she would unconsciously make herself sick so that she didn't have to confront it. So she knew, hey, I'm signing up for this hypnosis course. I'm gonna have to confront a lot of my shit. So let me just get sick and then I could just call them up and say, you know, I can't really do it right now. I'm sick and this and that. But she pushed through. And I kid you not, on the beginning of the call, she was like, looked deathly ill. Like she was just like pale and her nose all stuffy. And 30 minutes later we go through and I'm like, how you feel? And she's like, oh my God, like my sinuses are already clear. Like I feel fine now. And so, yeah, it's crazy. So when people are sick like that, from what I've seen, most of the time, it's not like, you know, oh, I got bacteria or something. It's usually in their head. So
wow, it's amazing. Pretty amazing stuff, Dom, you got going on.
Yeah, it's fun. I love it. It's great.
Yeah. And then you make money.
Yeah.
You're happy. You have your kids, your wife.
Got a relationship. I'm in shape. Everything. Takes work. I'll tell you that.
What about like being overweight? It's a pandemic. I mean, I see it. And what is that core of being overweight?
So it could be a number of things. So one thing I'll share with you, another interesting story. I have so many stories. I could go on forever. One in particular. So I had a woman come to me. She's in her 50s and she's been overweight for like 20 years, right? And she's tried everything. She's done the vegan, the carnivore, the everything. Her thyroid is messed up and so it messes with her weight. So she's done all the pills and like nothing is working. She's done Atkins and Jenny Craig, everything. So we start talking to her subconscious mind and figuring out, hey, why are you? And she's like, Dom, I'm telling you, I've done 1,200 calorie a day diets for weeks and weeks and weeks, and I won't lose a pound. So we start asking her subconscious mind questions as to why her body keeps holding on to this weight. So we go back to when she was in her late 20s. And back in the day, she was like really beautiful and blonde hair, blue eyes, busty woman. You know, you could even tell as an older woman, she was pretty, you know, back when she was younger. So she goes, yeah, you know, back in the day, and she's under hypnosis as she's telling me all this stuff, right? So she's like, it's all coming up from her subconscious. And she goes, you know, back when I was younger, I was really, really pretty, and men, I used to get a lot of attention from men. And my husband was really jealous because we would go out and men would be looking at me or they'd try to hit on me or whatever. She goes, this one time in particular, we were out and forget whatever happened. She told me whatever. And she goes, and my husband got so jealous. We got in a really crazy like argument at that time. And she goes, and now I'm remembering, she goes, and then that was when it all started. And basically in the next 6 months, I think she gained like 50 pounds and she never took it off. And she goes, and her subconscious is like, yeah, I'm overweight to protect myself from losing my family and losing my husband, because she had 3 kids at the time, right? Wow. So it was a mechanism to go, hey, if I'm too beautiful, I'm going to get attention, and then my husband's going to be mad and we're going to get divorced and I'm going to lose my kids and all this. So her body's like, okay, let's just make you overweight, 50 pounds in 6 months, bam. Wow. And it never went away. And then after we discovered that, the weight started coming off. So that could be one thing. It could be like a subconscious. I had a guy, I shouldn't laugh, but it's kind of funny. I hope he would laugh. He was overweight, and he had a problem ejaculating during sex. It's a good problem to have as a man, right? But he's like, dude, I don't want to have, like, I want to be able to, you know, whatever. So what we discovered is the reason he was overweight is because it was his protection from getting attention from other people. So it's like, oh, I'm overweight, nobody will look at me, so, you know, whatever. And the reason he couldn't ejaculate is because some stuff happened when he was younger with his parents and everything. But he's like, if I'm able to ejaculate, I'll fall in love with somebody, and then that could potentially lead to like divorce, like his parents and everything, and then I'll be hurt. So if I don't like take it to that next level, then I'll never have to be truly, truly like in a relationship with somebody to get hurt. And, you know, again, we clear all these beliefs, and, you know, he's able to do his thing, and then he starts losing weight and all that. So yeah, so it could be that. It could be a matter of and from my experience, it's always something like that. I had another woman who was a 35-year-old virgin, right? And she was overweight, 50, 60 pounds. And again, she tried everything, hired the trainers and the diets and everything. So we do the breakthrough process. What we discovered is when she was like 5 or 6 years old, her father and mother owned a business together. Well, the father ended up cheating on the mother with one of the employees. Well, the mother found out, and it caused this whole rift in the relationship. And as a child, again, she is not aware of this consciously. But as a child, she's seen how much pain her mom went through. And she's like, hey, I don't ever want to have to feel that pain. So if I'm overweight, no boys will ever want to date me, and I'll never have to worry about getting my heart broken. So as like a 5 or 6 year old girl, she gained like 40 pounds in like a 6 month period. And then the reason she was still a virgin at 35 was for that same reason. She didn't want to fall in love and get hurt like she saw her parents go through. So It's either that or it's just some addiction to food, right? And a lot of it is, last night I was watching Transformers with my daughter on like Paramount Plus or whatever. And there was a commercial came on. And the commercial was a Lunchable commercial. Then it was a Frosted Flakes commercial. And then there was one other food. And I'm sitting there and she's just watching it, like eyes wide open. And I'm like, holy shit, dude, she's being fucking programmed right now. It's late at night. Her mind is super open. The colors are bright and all this stuff. And so it is a matter of that social conditioning and that social programming that we've had since we were kids to eat the cereal and eat all the bullshit food, the candy. And it's just propaganda. And then, think about it. Like, you can walk outside, go 50 yards down the road and get food.
Of course.
Anywhere and everywhere at all times. Now we can have food ordered. We're on our phones, food commercials pop up. We go to so we're just constantly being bombarded and being tempted with all the imagery and everything that it's hard. People see that and they go, ooh, I want that. And then the next thing you know, they're eating. So
powerful. Wow. What an amazing time with you. Like we can talk for hours.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So my biggest takeaways from just being here with you is there's power within us and that we can tap into that power.
Oh, we're just scratching the surface. Yeah.
Wow.
Then when you really tap into your power, you fucking become psychic and you can see things before they happen and you can know things about people without them even telling you. That becomes a real fun stuff. So
wow, that's amazing. So one of the things is personal development. We're big into it, but how to use it, right? I feel like a lot of people tell you gurus. I don't know. You like that word?
Yeah.
There's gurus out there.
Right.
But my problem with gurus is show me how.
Yeah.
Tell me how.
Right.
Just how we did that breakthrough.
Yeah. Give me the actual, because there's a lot of theory and what to say and what to do. That's what I love about hypnosis so much is a lot of self-help is me telling you, this is what to do this, these are the steps. But what happens often is like, let's say somebody's going to be a real estate investor. Okay, this is what you got to do these steps. Well, you may not realize that this person has their beliefs that is holding them back from even doing the steps. So they could have the strategies, the tools, the techniques, but if their mind is not programmed or ready for it, it doesn't matter how good your techniques are. So that's why I love so much about hypnosis is it changes you forever. It's not the same, like reading a book is cool, watching videos is cool. But when you have that one-on-one deep dive into your mind, you start healing generational trauma and shit, like it just completely shifts your paradigm. So yeah, this stuff actually, I mean, as you saw, it fucking works,
Amazing.
Yeah.
So if I tell money, I know there's a mantra, I love money and money loves me. Will that work?
Let me say this. I don't know if you want to say you love money, but
it's a magnetism. I'm going to magnetize.
So there's a lot of skeptical people about this kind of stuff. And I understand there's so much there's people on YouTube and they'll be like, okay, this is the manifestation technique and do this. And then fucking 2 days later, they got another manifestation technique. And then the next week they have another one. And it's like, are you actually using any of these or are you just reading it out of a book and regurgitating it? That's one thing, right? Like people do that. And let me say this about that. 90% of manifestation is not about the technique because all the techniques work. All those ones, if they give you 10 different ones, you can use every single one and they will all work. It's a matter of your intention and your willingness to do this. So if I say, hey, Sonia, if you wake up every day and you do 10 push-ups and then you do a handstand for 10 seconds and you shout, I love money and money loves me, you will have money in your bank account. Now, I just made that up. But if you did that, guess what would happen? It would fucking happen. It would work. Because your intention and you're doing it. It's not about the technique as much as it is your willingness and your intention. Now, here's what I'll say to skeptical people about affirmations, meditation, hypnosis, law of attraction. This dispels everything, okay? Do you know what a jinx is?
A jinx?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. What is a jinx?
Where you say something and then it happens?
Yeah. So you're like, and usually people think of it in a negative sense. So if you're going to go drive your car, you're not going to say, hey, I don't even want to say it.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it's going to happen.
Because if I fucking say it one time, it can possibly happen. Now, jinx, it's a Latin word, and it basically just means a spell. Okay? So every time we say things, right, we're casting spells.
Got it.
Now, Here's 100% proof, dispels all myths about all this stuff. Imagine somebody else, and I say that for a specific reason, which I'll tell you here in a moment. Imagine somebody else, not you or me, okay, not anybody you know, some random person, and they woke up every single day, and they said they're going to get in a car wreck, they're going to get in a car wreck, they're going to get in a car wreck. And then every night they listened to a hypnosis recording that said they're going to get in a car wreck, they're going to get in a car wreck, they're going to get in a car wreck. And then they were watching videos on YouTube of car wreck after car wreck after car wreck. What do you think is going to happen to that person?
They're going to be in a
They're
wreck.
going to get in a car wreck. And nobody would ever even want to attempt to prove that wrong because it's so like, oh shit, dude. I don't even. Now, do you know why I say, let's pretend somebody else?
Why?
Because I said, they are going to get in a car wreck. You notice how I didn't say I am?
Yeah.
Because even though I'm talking about a figment, made up scenario, I'm still saying, if I said, imagine you said, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it. Well, now I'm hypnotizing you to start thinking about that. So I don't even I want to put that, delete that out of your mind.
Delete it.
I'm going to put it as a separate person.
Yes.
They said this. Now, let's take that. Okay, we don't even want to say that one time about ourselves. So now let's shift it. If you listen to a sleep hypnosis every night saying, money's coming to me quickly and easily, if you did your 10 push-ups and you stood on your head and you shouted your affirmations and you did it long enough, what's going to happen?
You're going to believe it.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
Like you just keep doing it long enough, just like if you focus on the car wreck. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So if anybody doesn't believe it, there's your 100% proof.
Wow, that's so amazing. Wow, that was like mind blowing.
Yeah.
It's so true.
What's funny, the way I came up with that metaphor is one day I was at the gym and I was doing rows. I remember specifically, and I was listening to my hypnosis affirmation just like 3 months ago. And I'm like, man, I want to listen to music right now. I don't want to listen to this shit. And I'm like, is this actually work? Which is funny because like this shit took me from broke to doing millions of dollars in a year. And I'm sitting here questioning, whether or not it works, whatever. So, but our skeptical mind will often question the things that we see and experience. So I'm like, does this actually work? Like, what am I doing? I'm listening to a fucking money affirmation while I'm working out. I'm like, and then it hit me. I'm like, and then that's when the whole analogy came through. I'm like, oh yeah, it does work. So yeah, it's a real.
So we're going to call this from broke to multimillionaire. Using your mind.
Using your mind. There you go. Yep.
And if you want more, follow you at
Dom.the.hypnotist on all platforms.
So Dom the Hypnotist on Instagram, YouTube,
TikTok, I think Facebook too. Yeah.
And then you have live events here in Vegas.
Yeah. So we have one coming up in the next couple months. I might change the date because we've had an event every single month this year. So it's just back to back to back to back to back. And then I have a training I'm doing in a couple of days. It's 5 days. And then I have a retreat I'm doing in Tulum in 3 weeks after that. So it's just like bam, bam, bam. So I might push the next one off a couple of weeks to give myself a fucking breather because I've been running and gunning. Like this year has gone by so fast. So.
And there's power in this because I literally probably hypnotized you to come on this
podcast.
That?
Yeah.
I mean, you're so busy. I mean, look at this guy. He's
like,
Mr. Mind Power.
That's why this morning I was like, fuck, I forgot even how to do this. Literally, I'm still have to prepare everything and I just got back from Florida last week. I was there for 4 days and then and I was questioning like, fuck, should I do this on this Monday? I got so much to do. I'm like, fuck it, whatever. I'll just figure it out. So yeah, here we are,
But it was the intention, right?
What's that?
We put it out there.
Oh, yeah.
And it got done.
Yeah.
So if we live our life with intention, will we become rich? Will we find our soulmates?
If you don't have anything blocking you, again, let's say you have that intention of, I want to make a bunch of money, but in the back of your mind, your belief system saying, no, this is bad, this is not good, then that can block you from it, right? So that's where the whole, like if you listen to the sleep hypnosis long enough, it's going to work. But it's going to take you longer if you don't. It's going to take you longer if you have those blocks and those beliefs, right? So, some people when they listen to it within a few days, boom, things happen. Some people it takes weeks. Some people it could take months because they have so many mind blocks that it's just holding them back. So yeah, and one thing I realized recently. Oftentimes I'll think of something and it manifests fast. So boom, a person, a situation, a whatever. And I really started to even not even care about financial stuff in a sense. I do care about financial stuff, but I don't really, it's not a huge emphasis in the sense of like, oh my God, I got to manifest. I got to try so hard. I just kind of like think about it. And then and then it seems as though that is even starting to amplify it even more because there's not this like neediness from it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So yeah. So
amazing. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah,
I'm
thank you
so
for having
happy and thank you. It's my first interview ever.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Oh, congratulations.
I've never done this.
Came out with a bang. There we go.
With the bang because you train with the best.
Yeah.
And you get the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm so excited. Thank you, Dom.
Awesome. I love it.
Thank you. All right. So everybody knows where to reach him. Follow him for amazing tips because he's always doing lives. He does have like those videos on money making and hypnotizing yourself to millions of dollars. All right. Thank you.
All right.